Hi everyone, and welcome back to Stamp with Anna. And this week I'm going to show you some cards that we made at this weekend's card class using the black ice technique. And there are a lot of projects out there online that you can see to get different ideas. But basically the black ice technique is this: you use foil paper for your background, and then you emboss ever so lightly, and you get this beautiful texture on that. And here in the Northeast where I live, in the wintertime, you always hear the weatherman say, when it's really cold, watch out for the black ice. And the black ice is a very, very thin layer that's on the asphalt. And it's very slick. And it kind of shines just like this. So it's an appropriate name for it. Those of you who live up this way, or those of you who experience really cold winters, know exactly what I mean. So today I'm going to use the Beautiful Day stamp set, and this is in the Current Occasions catalog, and my understanding is it's going to carry over into the new catalog. So this is a great one. I'm going to do a lot of projects with this. I can see it used with the Brusho technique, with the Brusho product. I can see this using coloring on the back of vellum. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this one. So that's what we're going to use. And for supplies, I have a piece of Sweet Sugar Plum, which is retiring. It is part of the 1618 in colors, and it will be gone. Well, while supplies last, but I believe it's still available. This is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then I have a piece of Whisper White that's cut 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have a piece of Basic Black 3 1/8 by 3 1/8, and a piece of Gold Foil 3 by 3. And the first thing we're going to do is work on our piece of gold foil to make the background. And you want to make sure that this stays nice and sturdy. You can put a tiny bit of repositionable tape on it. Be careful if you use permanent, because then when you go lift it, you're going to get your fingers all over it. And you want to try not to get oils from your fingers on it. So we're going to take our piece, and we're going to use just the edge of the black archival ink. I'm going to put a piece of paper right here in the middle, and we're going to very, very lightly just run that along. Okay? And you do want to have that black border on the top. Then you move your paper over to the other side, and you're going to do the same thing. Holding it nice and secure so that it doesn't move, you're going to just very lightly run that along there. Okay, now you can see that I swirled a little because I hit my finger, but that's fine. Now you're going to take this, and you're going to turn it over, and you're going to do it again, because you now want this black border up along the top as well. So again, holding it down nice and secure. I'm going to run that down. And then I'm going to push this over, hold it down, and I'm going to do it again. Okay? And that's the back. Now we do want this to be dry before we do any stamping on it. So I'm going to bring in my heat tool, and I'm just going to run this over. It does dry quickly, but because you're on foil, you do want to make sure that it's dry. Okay, so now again with my black archival, I'm going to stamp this gorgeous flower on my project. And I'm going to just center that up. I'm going to have the leaf up in the top right corner, and I'm going to press down. And you want to make sure you get a good impression, and I'll show you why in just a second. Okay, and there's my flower. Now you'll notice the same thing happened on this one as happened on my project. Right here, see the inside of the flower? It's got all those little dots. All of my dots did not come out there. So I'm just going to do what I did with my sample card and embellish it with some black rhinestones. Okay, so now we have that. And again, this point you need to dry it, because if you go on to the next step without this being dry, it's all going to smudge. So I'm going to bring in my heat tool again, and I'm just going to heat this up, and you'll notice that the card starts to curl up, and that's okay. Okay, now I'm going to bring in my paper again, and I'm going to push it down flat. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with my Versamark, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my black ink. And again, very, very lightly. If you can see I've been playing with this technique a lot. Look at my pad. If you bear down too hard, you will not get the texture. You'll just get a glossy finish when you emboss it. So you do want to make sure, very lightly, barely touching it. Okay? And then on the other side. Again, barely touching it. All right. Now we're going to sprinkle some clear embossing powder on this. And I'm going to get my lifter here. Oh. You want to try not to touch your project except on the edges. Now I can see that I don't have embossing powder that's stuck over here. And I know that that must be a spot where I didn't get too much Versamark on it, but that can be fixed. So let's not worry about that right now. And I'm going to put that back in here, and I'm going to heat this up. And as it heats up, you'll see that beautiful texture show up. Once it gets started, it does go quickly. And it really is very nice. I'm going to bring this up very close to the camera so you can hopefully see the texture that's on the foil. It's almost like, I don't want to say raindrops or rain streaks, but it's like ice. Ice that's on the tar. Okay, so that's nice and heated up. And what I'm going to do, I want to come back over here where I can see that I missed some. And I'm just going to hold on to this. And again, very lightly, just come down. Sprinkle some embossing powder on it. And now it's stuck there, so I know that I did get a good coating there. So I'm going to heat that part up. And bring it up nice and close so that you hopefully can see how the texture is. As opposed to when you just regular heat emboss and you get a nice solid foil type look, you're getting all these little textures in there. And it really is so, so pretty. I'm just going to heat this up a little more because it looks like I didn't dry it a whole lot. Okay, so if you can see, you can just see the texture. See how it's not a solid piece of foil. It's got little lumps and ridges on it, and that is what black ice looks like. So that's the black ice technique. Now we're just going to put our card together. So what I did next is I have a piece of basic black, and I'm going to border this, mat this, and it's going to have a very, very small border. And I don't want to turn that upside down, just in case it's not dry yet. So I'm going to put some black, some snail. Actually, I think that Fast Fuse would be really a good idea. for this because it is foil. Foil paper is heavier than regular cardstock, and it has curled up a bit. So there we go, all nice and matted. And now the next thing I want to do is I want to put some dimensionals on the back of this. This one, and I'm going to use the large ones. There, there, and there. And I'm going to mount this on my Whisper White. Oh, stuck a little there. Straighten that out. Okay. Now I want to stamp my sentiment. Now I used from the Beautiful Day stamp set this Happy Birthday, but it says, "Happy birthday, may your day be as beautiful as you." That's a nice sentiment, but I don't want this part here. So what I'm going to do, with my black Stampin' Right marker and my thick tip side, I'm going to just color in the Happy Birthday. Be very careful that I don't get any marker on the other part of the stamp. Okay. And now I'm going to stamp this kind of towards the bottom because I am going to add some ribbon there. Press that down. Okay, some Sweet Sugar Plum ruched ribbon, and I'm just going to attach that right there. So I'm going to turn this over, add a little bit of snail. Off, and now I'm going to attach this to my card front. Now, like I said, my center of my flower did not come out exactly as I wanted it to. I did not get a good crisp image there, so I'm going to just come in with some black pearls, black sequins, and I'm just going to add a few to the middle of my card, the middle of my flower, just to kind of fill that little empty gap up a bit. 1, 2, 3. Always do things in odd numbers. 4. And there's 5. Just going to kind of round those out a little bit. And there we have it. And the only 3 rhinestones right here on the bottom, just to give some interest to the end of the bottom of the card. Oh, I'll scooch that over there. Has a mind of its own today. And there we go. And there is our, I'm going to pull this ribbon up a little bit. And there is our Black Ice Technique card. There is the first card using the Black Ice Technique. And I hope you come back on Wednesday when I'll show you yet another one. Thanks so much. Have a great day.